While the world is focused on tariffs, media spazzing out about Trump trolling him over a third term, the Wisconsin Supreme Court election today that could determine who controls the House in 2026, and any other number of things that the left is freaking out about Trump. Something real critical happened today. It was a hearing for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Lieutenant General Dan Razin Caine. And this guy, I think he's a stud.
We can never forget that our number one job is to create peace through overwhelming strength, and if need be, fight and win our nation's wars.
That's all. I mean, we could have all just gone home after that statement. You have no idea what like a sigh of relief it is for guys like me to know that finally we have somebody who is there to kill bad guys and break their stuff. You see, war is the way of the world. Violence is the ultimate resolution to all conflicts. This is history and it's reality. There are real enemies out there right now, though. There are people training barefoot in a sandbox with one aspiration in life, and that's to kill Americans and our allies. Most Americans will never understand or appreciate this because they've never had to look somebody in the eyes and take their life, and we prefer to have it that way forever. Well, we can tell you about this threat, and most people will probably never actually comprehend how serious it is. And you need serious men making sure that those battles get fought on their soil, not ours. Razin Caine is that guy, I think. Trump certainly has a bunch of faith in him. If you don't know who this guy is, though, he's the dude, or the general, in Trump's first term that was able to crush ISIS in 2 weeks after the rest of the upper brass under Obama not only let ISIS happen, but then they turned around and said it couldn't be fixed. Leave it to the left, though, to have a problem with anything, even though there really is nothing to find a problem with this guy. The Democrats did. They went back to a 1986 law that excludes people who have not had a 4-star command in their resume. Trump can waive this, obviously, so I don't know why they're raising it. But look, if General Milley was like the standard in what is qualified, I have a 12-year-old at home who could probably have done it better than him. Saying that Razin Caine doesn't meet the prerequisites to be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff? Well, I mean, for the last 25 years, we've had super qualified people on paper. How'd that work out? We had a bunch of seemingly unserious terrorists fly planes into 2 buildings in New York, which launched a 20-year war, spending trillions of dollars, costing thousands of lives, only to give both countries that we had invaded 20 years prior back to the same terrorist groups we fought to keep it from. So I'm not opposed to trying something new here.
Senators, I acknowledge that I'm an unconventional nominee. These are unconventional times. As we sit here now, our nation faces an unprecedented rising global risk. Our adversaries are advancing, global nuclear threats are on the rise, and deterrence is paramount. Our national defense requires urgent action and reform across the board. We must go faster.
Yeah, we must. We have Iran, which by all estimates are very close to a nuclear weapon, which, by the way, they chant death to America in their streets, so I'd consider them an actual problem. Trump seems to be courting Russia into some sort of peace agreement. However, that could probably fall apart at any given time. China is building islands in the South China Sea to expand their presence, stealing our intellectual property, essentially colonizing third world countries to plunder their natural resources, and vowing to take over Taiwan. Can't forget about the Taliban. We just left $80 billion of our stuff over there for them to have. And we're currently bombing the Houthis back to the Stone Age. And who knows if we're going to have to invade Greenland. That'll probably be wrapped up with a sternly worded letter. But seriously, folks, we need a strong military. You don't get there through diversity training, drag queens, and horizontally challenged people. Which, by the way, Pete Hegseth just signed an order to mandate the same physical standard for men and women going into combat roles. Weird, huh? He tweeted out, "Different physical standards for the men and women in the U.S. military have existed for a long time, but there are also combat roles that were male only. Then, under Obama, all combat roles were open to men and women, but different physical fitness standards for men and women remained. Today, at the Department of Defense, we fixed this. All combat roles are open to men and women, but they must all meet the same high standards. No standards will be lowered, and all combat roles will only have sex-neutral standards." This is common sense, folks. Now, I'm not sure why this was ever an issue. Why would you have different standards for people going into the same situation? A bullet doesn't slow down for a woman, so why should there be standards that are different? Yes, I've covered this before many times, but like, if you're going into combat, I might have to save you. You might have to save me. The standard should be the same. And just like that, The left is freaking out, demanding that we install different standards. Well, I mean, like, why? Give me your logic on this, please. I have no idea. You are the party, Democrats, that has spent the last 5 years telling me that men pretending to be women are equal and that there's no physical advantages or whatever else you say. Look, there is a reason this is happening. I happen to think that women should not be in combat roles personally. I mean, sorry if you disagree with me. But if you do, in my opinion, you either have not been in combat and or have demonstrated conclusively that you have not had an educated opinion on the matter. I don't know how much simpler I can make this for the libs. If 10 people need to bring 1,000 pounds of gear into the field, that breaks down to 100 pounds of gear per person. But if you only train with 50 pounds, because that's what the female standards were, while all the males trained with 100 pounds, when you get into battle, you still have to get 1,000 pounds of gear in there, so the women will not be ready, and the guys won't be if they have to carry the other 50 pounds of the women's stuff. Oh, Carl, there are men that are in worse shape than some women. Yes, there are, and those men should not be in combat either. They should probably go work as a barista somewhere. Other libs say, oh, this would limit women in combat roles. No, only women that can't meet the same standards to go to war to kill people. This is not like playtime. This is from the New York Times. The Pentagon this week ordered the elimination of lower physical fitness standards for women in combat units, a move that is likely to hinder the recruitment and retention of women in particularly dangerous military jobs. Wow. Again, thank you for admitting that women are not physically equal to men, New York Times, finally. But this is the same group of people that tanked our recruiting numbers for the last 4 years. Spare me, New York Times and liberals, your lecture on what is good or not good for bolstering the numbers of our Defense Department. The point of this exercise is to see who is fit for battle. Not a social experiment, not gender quotas to a piece of lead traveling 3,000 feet per second flying by your face. We are back-to-back World War champions. Other countries only mess with us because they think they can get away with it because of the last 4 years of this social stuff. And when we have to have somebody in charge who won't let them get away with that kind of stuff, they don't mess around. We have some of the most lethal technology in the world. It should be carried into combat by the most lethal fighting force in the world. A fighting force that is not developed by making people feel good, but rather by pushing the bounds of human capabilities. And all this order says is, if you're a male or female, because you can't be trans in the military anymore, you have to possess a uniform set of capabilities so you can operate as a uniformed, cohesive unit. Because if we had fought World War II with the military that Biden handed us, we'd all be speaking German right now. The military is the one place we shouldn't have to be concerned about people's feelings, because the Taliban sure doesn't care.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.